So the state of Washington just signed a magazine ban into law. So let's talk about what this law does and how you can combat it if you live in Washington. But real quick before we jump to this video, if you think magazine bans are unconstitutional, go ahead and hit that like button and subscribe. So like I said in the intro, the state of Washington just passed a magazine ban which restricts the future purchase, sale, manufacture, and importation of magazines that hold more than 10 rounds. On Wednesday morning, Governor Inslee signed this law into effect. This bill we'll be talking about and this law that will be going into effect was passed through SB 5078, which is now law and will take effect in the state of Washington on July 1st of 2022. So let's talk about what this bill does, how Washington residents will be impacted by it, and also how you can combat it if you live in the state of Washington. This bill defines large capacity magazines to mean an ammunition feeding device with the capacity to accept more than 10 rounds of ammunition or any conversion kit, part, or combination of parts from which such a device can be assembled if those parts are in possession of or under the control of the same person, but shall not be construed to mean or to include any of the following. A, an ammunition feeding device that has been permanently altered so that it cannot accommodate more than 10 rounds. B, a .22 caliber tube ammunition feeding device. Or C, a tubular magazine that is contained in a lever action firearm. So this definition is pretty much identical to the language that we have seen other states use, like the state of California. Now you can find the actual ban aspect of this bill in section 3, where it states, no person in the state may manufacture, possess, distribute, import, transfer, sell, offer for sale, purchase, or otherwise transfer any large capacity magazine except as authorized in this section. That language is that general ban. Now, the state of Washington, of course, knew that an outright ban would be less palatable to those individuals in the state, so they included in a grandfather component. This is similar to what the state of California did originally when they passed their first magazine ban. The original text of the bill actually included in express grandfather language. That was in section 2A, where it stated the possession of a large capacity magazine by a person who legally possessed the large capacity magazine before the effective date of this section, or the possession of a large capacity magazine by a person who, on or after the effective date of this section, acquires possession of the large capacity magazine by operation of law upon the death of a former owner who was in legal possession of the large capacity magazine, provided the person in possession of the large capacity magazine can establish such provenance. So originally there was express grandfather language in this bill that said if you were in possession of a magazine prior to the effective date, you could maintain possession of that magazine lawfully, and also you could inherit one. But later in the iteration of this bill that actually got passed, that whole section was stripped out. They did, however, leave in some grandfathered language where in the intro section of this piece of legislation that was passed, they said that this would be limited only to the prospective sale of so-called large capacity magazines, while allowing existing legal owners to retain the large capacity magazines they currently own. This is also echoed in the AG's statements on this bill when it actually was passed. He said that this would be calling for only the prospective ban or the future ban of magazines, but it would actually have a grandfather component. They also stripped out some other language that restricts the transport of magazines and how and when they could actually be used. It appears they are using some other kind of catch-all language in the bill on distributing, manufacturing, and importing to cover some of these other areas. Now, my impression from the changes and them leaving out this language and the express language is they're trying to keep this as vague as possible to maybe do something in the future, which California did. Keep in mind the original ban in California was almost identical to what Washington did, where they said that they would have this grandfather component where you could keep possession of these magazines, and they were only going to ban the prospective sale of magazines. But later, California even went in and did a retrospective ban where they said, originally we said you could maintain these magazines, you could possess these magazines. Well, we're going to go back on that and we're going to ban all magazines, even those that were grandfathered in. This post facto ban on grandfathered magazines is what led to the Duncan v. Bonta magazine ban case that was recently heard and ruled on by the Ninth Circuit's en banc panel. Now, why am I mentioning that? Why is this important for the state of Washington, and why do you need to know this if you're in Washington? Well, because Washington is in the Ninth Circuit, and the Ninth Circuit has jurisdiction over the state of Washington, and the precedent in Duncan is precedent for the state of Washington in what Washington's trying to do here with their magazine ban. In the Duncan v. Bonta California magazine ban case, Judge Benitez in the Southern District of California found that the state's retrospective and confiscatory ban was unconstitutional and therefore enjoined it. Of course, the state of California when losing at the district court level didn't like that, so they decided to appeal up to the Ninth Circuit. A 3-judge panel in the Ninth Circuit agreed with the lower court with Judge Benitez that a complete ban, both retrospective and prospective, on magazines was unconstitutional. Again, the state of California, not liking that they lost, decided to seek a rehearing by the Ninth Circuit en banc panel. The Ninth Circuit en banc panel on review found in favor of the state of California, upholding the state's magazine restrictions on the basis that a ban on magazines that hold more than 10 rounds is not a complete magazine ban, since residents can still possess some type of magazine for self-defense. Now, what's important for this is that the Ninth Circuit upheld a type of ban that is even more egregious than what the state of Washington is doing. The state of Washington is doing something unconstitutional, but it's a prospective ban. The Ninth Circuit upheld both a retrospective and prospective ban, and also a confiscatory ban. So the state of California said, we are going to confiscate and retrospectively apply a ban and also have a prospective ban. So it's kind of a complete ban. But the Ninth Circuit upheld a complete ban. So what's going on in Duncan will directly impact what is going on in the state of Washington. The Duncan v. Bonta case is currently seeking Supreme Court review, along with another case, the A&J RPC v. Graywall, New Jersey magazine ban case. So there are some similar cases at a higher level of review that could impact what is going on in the state of Washington, in the state of Washington's magazine ban. Now that this bill is signed into law, and once it goes into effect on July 1st of 2022 of this year, there will no doubt be legal challenges that pop up. Currently, Firearms Policy Coalition is looking for plaintiffs in the following counties that you can see here on the screen. If you're in Washington and you're in one of these counties, I would recommend that you reach out to FBC's 2A hotline and tell them that you are interested in being a plaintiff. Let them know that you saw my video and that you would like to participate in a lawsuit against the state of Washington as a plaintiff to challenge this magazine ban. FBC didn't ask me to do this. They didn't ask me to put out a video. And as many of you know, I no longer actually am associated with FBC, but I still believe in the work that they do. And candidly, when I was working with FBC, one of the biggest roadblocks we ran into with these cases and getting them filed was actually finding plaintiffs. A lot of times we had cases absolutely ready to go, but we couldn't find patriots willing to stand up and to join into these lawsuits. And without individual plaintiffs in these state and in these counties, a lawsuit can't be filed. So if you're interested in being a plaintiff and you're in one of these counties in Washington, again, I would highly recommend you reach out to FBC and you can send an email to them at that 2A hotline. Now, the legal process can take a while, and the case challenging the Washington law could be put on hold in the federal courts until maybe Duncan is decided, because again, Duncan is at a higher level of review and it's a Ninth Circuit case that will likely impact what happens in this Washington case. In the meantime, if I were in the state of Washington, if I were you, I would start to purchase magazines that I need or think I might want to actually have one day. Take it from a California resident that once this law goes into effect, you will regret not obtaining what you needed beforehand. It will likely be a while until this ban is lifted. And I know right now a lot of companies like Brownells and Palmetto State Armory are prioritizing your guys' orders in the state of Washington. And I know a lot of companies are even donating magazines to residents in these states. So take advantage of the time you have right now to obtain these magazines. Please share this video to people in Washington, or really anyone who you think will be impacted by what's going on in Washington, or maybe even anyone you would think would be interested in being a plaintiff in a lawsuit to get rid of this law. If you have any questions, go ahead and comment down below and I'll try to answer the best of my ability. Also, if you like this video and like support the channel, one of the best ways to do that is to like, comment, and subscribe. All those things help to fuel the algorithm or fuel Algorithm rhythm. It adds fuel to his jet, and it signals to YouTube that you guys see value in these videos and in this type of 2A news. Again, I want to thank everybody who likes, comments, subscribes, who hits that notification bell, who shares these videos. You guys are directly impacting these videos, impacting this channel, and helping me to reach and educate more people than I could have ever thought. So thank you so much for all of your support. So as always, thank you all for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. And never forget, this is Built by Armed Scholars, and Station will maintain by Armed Scholars.